A son of privilege, a warrior at heart, a man of contradictions, the architect of a rebellion that reshaped the very soul of a nation. This is the story of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the man who dared to stand against the tides of history. The life of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu began in privilege, born into a family of unmatched wealth. His father, Sir Louis, built an empire of power and influence, presiding over a nation on the crisp of independence. Yet, beneath the veneer of opulence, Chukwuemeka was different. While others were content with the trappings of wealth, Ojukwu had his eyes on something more, something beyond the life of luxury. In England, Ojukwu found the world opening before him. Studying at Epsom College and later at Oxford University, his mind fed on history, on the tales of ancient battles, of empires and their downfalls. But after he excelled in the West, his heart longed for something deeper, an identity he would not find in the lecture halls of Oxford. It was in the drums of his homeland, in the thunder of African feet on red soil, that he will find his purpose.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have for a long time been looking forward to this opportunity.
In 1960, Nigeria became an independent nation, but independence brought with it more than freedom. It brought fractures, divisions between the North, West, and East. Beneath the facade of unity, ethnic tension simmered, threatening to erupt. Ojukwu, fresh from his Western education, chose a surprising path: the army. A man of intellect among soldiers, Ojukwu quickly rose through the ranks, becoming one of the few graduates to serve in the army. But even in uniform, the same tensions that plagued the streets of Nigeria crept into the barracks. And when the military coup of 1966 tore the country apart, Ojukwu found himself at the center of a storm.
It will for us be the price for freedom.
In the wake of the coup, Nigeria descended into chaos. In the north, the Igbo people were slaughtered in droves, victims of ethnic cleansing. The east had become a refuge for survivors, a haven of solidarity amidst the bloodshed. Ojukwu, who was now military governor of the eastern region, stood at the crossroads of history.
They've been going systematically, hitting at hospitals, schools, markets. Indeed, whenever you hear that a British plane or a Russian plane has been overrun by the Nigerians, then you are pretty certain it's going to hit a hospital or a church or a school.
To protect his people, he will make a fateful decision, one that will change Nigeria forever. And thus, in 1967, the Republic of Biafra was born with Ojukwu as its leader. But secession was not the peaceful solution he had hoped for. The Nigerian government declared war, and for 3 long years, blood will soak the land. The Biafran War was one of the most brutal conflicts in African history. Ojukwu led his people with determination, rallying them against a Nigerian army that outnumbered them 10-1. Biafran soldiers, ill-equipped, fought valiantly, but the real horror was the starvation. With the Nigerian blockade in full effect, Biafra's food supplies were cut off, and famine became the war's deadliest weapon. The images of starving children shocked the world, but despite global sympathies, Biafra's resistance began to falter. As the final days of the war loomed, Ojukwu made his escape into exile. In January 1970, as Biafra crumbled, Ojukwu fled to the Ivory Coast, leaving behind a legacy as both a hero and a man whose rebellion led to devastation. But in exile, he never truly disappeared from Nigeria's consciousness.
There's been quite a lot of build-up, and I think what I have here is sufficient to maintain the integrity of Biafra and more.
In the years that followed, Biafra became a symbol of resistance, of pride, and of tragedy. Ojukwu's return from exile was met with mixed emotions. While some hailed him as the Lion of Biafra, the man who dared to stand against the oppressive might of the Nigerian state, others saw him as the architect of a catastrophe that cost millions of lives. But despite the controversies, Ojukwu would not be silent.
How can you take a people like the Ndibo and try and to impose on them a leadership? It's not possible.
In his later years, Ojukwu turned to politics, seeking to shape the future of a united Nigeria. Though he never achieved the political success he sought, he remained an elder statesman, a towering figure whose shadow loomed over the country's turbulent history.
Nigeria has always had a leader, and the problem is how relatively good is the leader. What leaderless? Oh no, Nigeria has always had a leader.
When Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu died in 2011, Nigeria was once again divided in its opinion of the man. Was he a hero, a rebel, a visionary, or was he the cause of a great national tragedy? The truth is, Ojukwu was all of these things, a man of great contradictions, a soldier who sought peace through war, a leader who loved his people but led them into a deadly conflict, a man of wealth who fought for the poor. History remembers him not simply for the Biafran War, but for what he symbolized, a nation's cry for recognition, for equality, and for justice. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the lion who roared, and its roar changed the course of Nigerian history.